Hi there. Today we're going to be talking about the spiritual meaning of shoulder pain. Spiritual from the sense that pain, most of the time, and in some way always, is bound up energy. Intelligent bound up energy at that. The same intelligence that animates all of life is constantly giving birth to our bodies. And so there are certain parts of our bodies that house certain aspects of our being, certain aspects of that intelligence. And so shoulder pain might represent a deeper part of us trying to be seen and integrated. And ultimately the purpose of that is so that we can give our gifts and accomplish what it is that we came here to accomplish from a place of greater wholeness. So I'm going to be talking about that in this video. And before I get there, my name is Dr. Jay Eaker. Welcome to the BioSoul Integration Center. I've been doing this work for about 20 years, helping people integrate their soul's essence and their soul's gifts into their physical body so that they can share those gifts on the planet. So please like this video, share it to those who might be interested. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and do the social thing wherever you might run into this. You might run into it on Facebook, on Instagram, on Pinterest, etc. I have written a book that might be helpful. If it didn't hurt, how to resolve your pain and discover your life's purpose. And that book can be found on my website at biosoulintegration.com, and for a limited time you can get a free PDF copy of that book, completely free, the whole book, for a limited time. I don't know how long I'm going to make that available, but that is kind of the ultimate guide to transmuting pain into a portal to soul and integrating it. So check that out, and you might see on my website that there are other books there too. I've written 3 other books that might be helpful. So check that stuff out, biosoulintegration.com. Okay, let's get into it here. So, I want to first talk about the kind of main paradigm that I'm looking at this whole thing from. Like I mentioned, that pain is bound up energy. So how does that work? Where does that come from? From the moment we're conceived, or shortly thereafter, 2 to 4 weeks after conception probably, there's a part of our nervous system, a fundamental layer, foundational layer of our nervous system comes online. And that foundational layer of our nervous system is just feeling into our environment. And it's communicating, it's relating to the energetic back office of all of the people, the culture around it. It's kind of like that where you see on the Matrix, where they look at the matrix on a screen and it's all those symbols floating down the screen. It's kind of like that. We're looking at a part of our nervous system can read sort of the energetic back office of everything around it. And it relates to life in that way, and it's gathering information about how to do this human thing. And what we pick up when that part of our nervous system feels into the people and the culture around us is that there are certain parts of us that are not safe to experience. Again, from feeling into the people around it, that's what it learns. And because we rely on those people for our survival and we want to fit in with a herd, there's kind of this impulse, this survival impulse to fit in with the herd. We automatically sort of tune ourselves that way. And we, judge certain, for lack of a better term, judge certain parts of ourselves as good and other parts as bad, and push those parts away, the ones that are deemed unsafe to feel or experience. And that kind of is reinforced when we're little kids too. Up until about age 7, the same part of our nervous system is largely running the show until thinking takes over after age 7 on another level. We are still relating largely to the world around us by relating to the sort of energetic back office through feeling in our bodies. And so those survival patterns are kind of reinforced. And that means that, again, certain parts of our body house different aspects of our being and the energy associated with them. And so when we wall those parts of ourselves off, there's a physical manifestation of that where we use muscle tension, we use posture to redirect energy, and we use muscle tension to wall energy off and to keep parts of ourselves and that energy separate from feeling it and expressing it. And there are going to be times in life, there are developmental stages that unfold throughout the course of our lifetime. We've got to put together a certain amount of dots to walk and to talk, and then puberty happens and we start to explore relationships, and then we have kids, and then we're elders, like I am now, 50 years old. And those are all developmental stages. And when those developmental stages dawn, life asks us or requires of us gently, sometimes not so gently, requires of us that we come into relationship with parts of ourselves that we previously had pushed away, because life says, okay, in order to do this next stage of your life, in order to work on the projects that you're going to be working on, you're going to need to come into relationship with those parts. You needed to do that. You needed to push them away because it wasn't safe to express them. You needed to do that then. But now you're going to have to come into relationship with those parts. And life and our bodies will sort of conspire to bring that energy to the surface so that we can integrate it. And that's often when pain, emotional issues, health crises happen during these transitions, where life is kind of prompting a part of ourselves that we've pushed away, and the energy associated with it is prompting that to come to the surface so that we can integrate it. And that often is uncomfortable in some way, because that's usually the only way that we would stop and pay attention. It has to hurt in some way, unfortunately. And so I'm talking about that in reference to shoulder pain in particular. Where shoulder pain is concerned, there's a certain part of the body that is often associated with that, and certain themes. Again, different parts of our body house different aspects of our being. And there's this part of us at the base of our neck, the bottom of our neck, where our neck turns into our back, I guess you could say, that houses a part of ourselves. My sense is, from working on it, working with people for the last 20 years, is that it houses the part of us that we have access to our soul's essence in some way through that. A part of us that knows what feels true and right. And if we're connected with that, we can honor the parts of us that have needs in any given moment. We can say yes when we mean yes and no when we mean no. We can draw healthy boundaries. We're aware of where we end and the others begin. It's connected to passion. It's connected to what lights us up. Our soul is kind of saying, yep, this is, come in this direction, come over here, this is what lights you up. That's the path. But intuition, it's connected to intuition, is a knowing that transcends thought. You know, often people are living up in their heads, and they have to sort of like understand every decision. They have to understand everything mentally and be able to walk through the mental checklist in order to say yes or whatever. But there's a part of us that just knows, and you know, again, it's a knowing that transcends thought. We just know. Again, when we're in the womb, maybe we had a parent. Maybe we have, it's in our lineage. People who learned from their parents and them from their parents and so on, that this part of them is not safe to feel. It's not safe to express. Obviously, this has to do with expression too, being able to express on all the levels that we might express, whether that means through our voice, through the way we're holding ourselves, through our actions. So we pick up maybe on the fact that people around us have learned that part of them was not safe to express. And when our nervous system creates a survival program that says, oh, that's not safe, we're going to tuck that away, we're going to dim it down, we're going to sequester it. Again, there's a physical manifestation of that. We tend to pinch off on the front of our spine. And we tend to stick the energy back here and hold it in the back of our spine. So there's a postural change there. Again, we use posture to redirect energy. You can maybe, I don't know how many spines you've seen, but if you look at enough people, you start to notice that some people have this kind of like really for lack of a better term, hump here at the bottom of their neck. An area, a place where there's an increase in the curve of that spine right at the base of the neck. Here, let me get my spine, just a sec. Here's a spine, and this is our skull, and this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cervical vertebra. So this is the base of our neck that I was talking about. And sometimes there can be this, when we pinch off on the front, we stick energy back here and hold it back here, there can be this increase in the curve of the spine in that area. And what we're doing is we're sequestering the energy, we're sequestering that energy that's associated with that part of ourselves, and we're holding it there. There's a physical manifestation of that. There's emotions that go along with that as well. There's a mental, it puts a limit on the range and depth of emotion that we'll give ourselves permission to feel in order to say yes or no. There has to be emotion involved. You have to, in order to really say yes or really say no, there is emotion involved there. It ties into the thoughts that we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves constantly about ourselves, the tapes that we're playing, if you were. And again, the spiritual manifestation in that we don't have, if you're not in contact with this part of you, we can feel lost, because it is an important compass, this feeling, this knowing what lights us up, which way to go, which way not to go. We can feel lost, connected to passion. So this is the area. And so, that changing the shape of the spine there, like I just did, this is at the base of our neck, this is the part of us that innervates our shoulders. And, when we do this to the bottom of our neck, that is also going to translate into the shoulders, into our upper back there, and affect the structure there. So there can be just, discomfort or pain. It's going to affect the mechanics of our shoulders. And so there can be, of course, pain that just that happens as a result of that, a weakening, a compromising, that is going to compromise the integrity of the shoulder structure, which makes it more susceptible to injury. There's going to be, tension being held there all the time. It's like, I don't know, pressure on a bearing or something. If there's lots of pressure on a thing that moves all the time, over time, that's going to wear down faster than if there wasn't pressure. And so this creates this holding tension at the bottom of the neck, creates a lot of physical, structural pressure on the shoulder joint. And if we're doing spiritual work, if we're doing embodiment work, if you're doing yoga, if you're doing breath work, if you're doing network spinal care, if you're doing, which is the foundation for the work that I do here at the hands-on work that I do in my office. If you're doing other somatically oriented psychotherapy, somatic experiencing, parts work, brain spotting. These are all very somatically oriented modalities, therapeutic modalities. If you're doing stuff like that and you start to get into this, as you work on yourself, you're going to start to contact the energy that's bound in tension there. And as your body unpacks that, it's going to change your posture. This complex here is going to want to unwind. And there's a part of that process that can be painful or uncomfortable. As the structures change shape, these processes have been in place for maybe years. I'm 50, there are ways that maybe your body's been holding itself a certain way for 50 years or more. That means muscles are going to change, get used to a certain position. Ligaments are going to get used to a certain length. Bones even change shape over that amount of time. And so as that starts to unravel, those structures have to change. And that can be uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable. But also, as the emotion that we have learned is not safe to feel, as that starts to come to the surface and come online, that can be painful too. Emotionally painful, because often as this unravels, there is some form of heat related with that, with this particular area, for whatever reason, some form of heat that comes to the surface as it's unraveling, and that can look like hot flashes. It can look like just heat in the body that shows up, inflammation that appears in the body somehow. Emotionally, often there's anger that comes to the surface when this is unraveling here at the base of the neck, and usually underneath that there's grief. The upper lungs, they house, they store, that's where we store a lot of grief. And so when we're unpacking this, it can be uncomfortable, painful in a number of ways. I think people, maybe they've gotten into work like this, embodiment work or healing work or yoga or whatever, somatically oriented therapy. They've gotten into those things as a way, meditation, as a way to maybe help with pain, like shoulder pain that they've been experiencing, or other pains that they experience in their body, and found that, oh yeah, those things helped. That helped change the pain. And maybe that pain goes away and we keep doing those things. We keep doing yoga, we keep doing meditation because we found that there were other benefits that we liked. We keep doing healing work like this that we do here at the BioSoul Integration Center. And there are many layers in our body of these protective complexes. And so every time we unravel a layer of that, it's common for there to be discomfort, pain of some sort. So it's good to not necessarily assume that if there is pain, that means something's wrong. Especially if you're doing healing work, it can be a sign that something is right, that things are going in the right direction. So I just want to point that out. When you're doing healing work, there can be pain that comes to the surface, and that's natural. So how, short of trying to fix the shoulder pain, and that's not to say that you shouldn't do the surgery, that you shouldn't go to the doctor and have it x-rayed or MRI'd, or shouldn't do physical therapy or things like that to help your shoulder pain. You certainly should, if that's what is drawing you, but don't abandon the spiritual aspects of it along the way. And so you can ask yourself, like, are you, if shoulder pain is coming up, are you honoring your intuitive truth? Are you expressing, do you have a sense that feel like you're expressing your authentic self, or, does a lot of doubt get in the way? Are you living from inner guidance? Do you feel like you're in touch with your soul's passion? Do you feel a call? Do you feel life calling you to certain things or not? And if you do, are you following those things? Because if you feel life calling you to something and you're not following it, that's going to be painful as well too. And that pain can show up in a number of ways. One of those might be shoulder pain. So that's what I wanted to say regarding shoulder pain, and to sort of recap and sort of conclude, I just want to remind you that pain is it's not a punishment. It can be an invitation to something greater. It can be life calling you towards something. Again, these developmental stages unfold where life is asking us to shift how we were doing ourselves and how we were showing up in the world and our bodies and our lives. Life and our bodies can sort of conspire to nudge us towards the taking action. And so listen, allow more, as opposed to trying to instantly make a pain go away. Like, feel into it some more. Are there emotions involved? what emotions does that pain bring up? Is it like, oh, now I can't do the things I want to do, or I can't lift, I can't play with my grandchildren, or, what are does it bring up fear about the future, or does it bring up anger or frustration? The emotions that we feel we attach it to thoughts, and we attach it to reasons that we're feeling those things, but the truth is, we're probably just feeling fear. We're just feeling angry. We're unpacking the energy bound in here. And feeling it is unpacking it. So I hope that was helpful and useful. Please like this, share it, pass it along to those who might be interested. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out my book here. It could be helpful at www.biosoulintegration.com. You can get a free copy of that there. And I look forward to helping you express more life in the future in the next video. Have a great day.